Have you been wondering what steps you need to take in order to start a research project? I mean, seriously, are there steps to the design? If you have just a few minutes, we can explain the different steps that you need to follow in order to organize your next project. Make sure you stick around to the end so we can help you with all the steps. Let's go into the lab. Hey, it's Dr. Pamela Kreiser here at the Research Methods Crash Lab. We're here not only to help you survive your methods class, but we're here to help you thrive. Now, if you hate math, you've come to the right place, because here at the Crash Lab, we're ready to help everybody. Let's head into the lab. In all research projects, you will be faced with the question of what you actually want to know, and it's important to create an overall plan. So we start with research questions and hypotheses. Now, we have a separate video on this if you want to check it out here. Make sure you watch this so you understand the difference. So we start with research questions and hypotheses. Next, we decide our method. Do we want qualitative answers to our questions or hypotheses, or do we want quantitative answers? And then finally, we need to decide what kind of output we wish to capture. Are we looking for values, categories, or attributes? Let's go through each of these decisions in more detail. Step one is to identify your research questions or hypotheses. Are you asking a question about a variable, or are you making a prediction? This decision will depend on what you already know. Step two, determine your method. It's important to make a distinction between qualitative and quantitative data collection. Very simply, when you conduct research and capture data in words, this is what we call qualitative data. These are known as categories or attributes. And when you conduct and capture data in numbers, this is what we call quantitative data. These are known as values. You may also think of them as numbers. Step three is to collect your data. You may collect values, categories, or attributes, or any combination of these three. In review, we've seen the importance of each of the steps: the inquiry, the method, and the data. Now let's look at an applied example of conducting research. Suppose you're interested in conducting a study about conflicts in the workplace. As a researcher, you have several key decisions to make. Let's look at an example of a qualitative study. You might select a research question such as, in the workplace, what are the categories of conflict that individuals engage in? Next, you will need to decide your method. If you elect to use qualitative data collection, then you will have data that is comprised of words, such as named topics of conflict. This is suitable given the question that you started with. Finally, this qualitative method would result in named categories of conflict. So overall, you see the researcher's decisions shape the outcome of the data. Depending on your research interest, you might elect to use a quantitative method. You might decide to make a prediction and therefore select a hypothesis such as this. In the workplace, men will engage in conflict significantly more frequently than women. Next, you need to decide your method. If you elect to use a quantitative data collection method, then you will have data that is comprised of numbers or values. This is suitable given the hypothesis you started with. Finally, this quantitative method will result in data that's comprised of numbers, such as the number of times conflict occur in a given week. Again, you can see how the researcher's decisions shape the outcome of the data. Remember that your decision about method of data collection depends on what you actually want to know as a researcher. Ultimately, you need to decide if your research interests are seeking to understand the qualities of a variable or the quantities of a certain variable. In some cases, you may decide that you wish to explore both aspects of a certain variable and use what is called mixed methods, or use a mixed method of data collection in one study. Regardless of your decision, now you know the entire process of decision-making planning involved in research design. So you ready to take the next step? You can access our Quiz Me videos using the link here. Well, thanks for watching. And if you like what you saw, make sure you hit that like button down below, and we'll see you in the next one.